Morning, Ben Fred, sports columnist with STLtoday.com, and he's also with us on Mondays and with the Sports Guys at Night. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, McGraw. How's it going?
Time to start freaking out over the Blues, or no?
I don't think a freak out is in order. They certainly aren't as good as we thought they were going to be out of the gate. But 2 games. They started red hot last year, and that didn't help them too much by the time it was over. I think it's not so much the record; it's how. That's kind of what Mike Yeo was saying after the loss to the Blackhawks. He's really disappointed with his team. He went as far as calling them everything but soft. Said they were playing, basically kid hockey. They need to get tougher. They need to care more about everything else but scoring. That he's going to start playing guys who want to win as opposed to guys who just want to score. And was really kind of just laying into his team after the loss to the Blackhawks when they gave up 2 leads and lost in overtime. I think on top of that, you're just disappointed by the opportunity that was squandered a little bit. I mean, the city was wide open for Blues hockey. They were itching for it. The building's renovated. It looks outstanding. The Cardinals are out of the postseason. It's everybody's ready for hockey season, and they go out and lay 2 eggs, and that's disappointing when you had a chance to really kind of, I think, capture the attention span and get people really fired up with all these new players, and they whiffed twice, and now they have a third week of practice before they get back at it Thursday. But there was certainly, I think, a little bit of an opportunity lost in those first 2 games.
Could you imagine if an NFL playoff game ended at midnight on a Sunday?
No, I can't. I mean, they do last a long time, but you would think that baseball could get that figured out a little bit better. I think sometimes these other leagues that go up against the NFL hurt themselves by not really thinking. NHL puts some of its biggest events on nights that other sports have some of its biggest events. Baseball goes, starts too late and goes too late. And I think it's a fair question when you're talking about a league that needs to do more to get, the attention of young kids. I think that's a fair point.
Here's what I don't understand about it. They're pretty smart, and it's all based on television. I get it, right? So why start the game so that they finish at midnight? Who is watching baseball at midnight? If they're trying to grow the game, have it on when the kids and the rest of us are up watching the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, the diehards are going to watch it, right? But if you're talking about growing the audience, I don't know that you're going to let your kids stay awake.
Well, they physically can't stay awake. If parents try and let them, they still can't stay awake.
Right. I mean, to me, this is the most exciting point of the baseball season. I mean, no one will argue that postseason baseball it's something different. I mean, it's special, it's electric, it's fun. So put as much of it on in prime time as you can, and use your leverage with the TVs to make that happen. These leagues just sell themselves to TV, and they'll just do whatever it wants. And we talk about this when we talk about pace of play and length of games. Telling the catcher you can't go visit the pitcher that many times a game, it's not going to cut down on the length of the game that much. Working with the TV broadcast companies to actually cut back on the amount of commercial time, that would make a difference.
Well, but I'm not
even.
They're
so afraid to do any of that stuff. They just kind of resign that whatever TV wants, they'll give them, and everybody else just falls in line. But if they would actually get some leverage back and maybe realize that they're the product, then maybe they could make some common sense solutions here. But there's been no sign of that.
Well,
we're moving to all TV running the show.
The other day, the game started at 7:37, so they had 37 minutes of people talking about the game, so that the game could then end well past 11:30 outside of prime time. It makes no sense. If that's the case, and if midnight is the best time to put on a game, then the Super Bowl would end at midnight, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous, and baseball is killing itself. And you talk to these people, and they look at you like, no, you're wrong, McGraw. Ending a game at midnight makes a lot of sense. It's
Yeah, no, I'm actually with you on that. Rarely, I know we very rarely agree on things, but it to me is one of those things that if the league would just stand up and say we're not going to do that anymore, then the companies will want to give them the games. I mean, they'll want to put them on TV. So, it's like they just say, well, to be on TV, we have to do whatever TV wants.
But hold on a second. Hold on a second. But hold on a second. But hold on a second. Hold on a second.
One of the few things that people want to watch live anymore.
Right.
You have more leverage than you realize.
But I wouldn't blame baseball for kowtowing to the television executives, because if you and I are the biggest television executives, and you and I are in charge of when the game starts and ends. Right now, you don't know when it ends. It could go into overtime. You could have a rain delay. But you figure a game is probably 3.5 innings or 3.5 hours. You would want that game as a television executive to end at 9:30, right? 9 o'clock, 9:30, 9:45, right? I guess that would be the best time. So as television executives, I don't know what they're doing, because it doesn't make any sense for them to have the game end at 12:30.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But they'd rather just complain about how long it is, and instead of actually moving the start time up.
Right. Move the start time up. Right.
Inject commercials into it. Another thing that they could do might be to have a flex system that kind of dictates commercial length and amount of time of breaks based on the time of the game. That's like never discussed. The baseball players, they're sitting around waiting for these commercials to go. Why don't you have it so if it's a longer game, or if it's moving slower, that you have fewer commercials so it gets over sooner?
Well, I think what they should do.
God forbid that you have some sort of an adjustable format where you can speed up the game if it's moving slow. We talk about all these things the players should do differently. We don't talk about anything that the TV that the broadcast the stations should do differently. Even though that they're the ones they're the biggest reasons these games take so long.
I think what they should do is they should, at least in the early rounds, stagger it like the NCAA basketball does, right? Have each game start 15, 20 minutes apart, so that an average fan can watch the last 2 innings of each game and sort of get excited about it. Now I'm hunting and pecking, trying to figure out what channel, what game, what time, and it is as confusing as a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair topic of discussion.
Yeah.
It certainly seems like the NFL, people know when it is. People know it's Super Bowl Sunday. They know they're going to have their party.
Right.
Baseball, I get it. There's more games, and you're playing a series, so it's different. But it is something that I think they have to look at and say, how can it be improved? I don't know that playing later and later into the night is a way to do that. Yeah, your target market for the most part is probably going to stay up, but the folks who are going to be, the folks that you want to see, this next generation, they're not going to be up for that. They might stay up for a World Series, but they're not going to stay up for an NLCS or a DS, and those are exciting, important games too. So between the multiple channels and the different start times and the ones that are going late, I think it is a way for baseball to look at it and say, how can we make this better? We talk a lot about growing the game and getting new fans. Are we actually doing something that could help?
Ben, why don't you work on that for me, huh? Get back to me next week on all this.
Well, I got to try to figure out what's wrong with Mizzou football and the Blues first. But after I get those things figured out, I'll try to jump on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Frederickson. You read him at stltoday.com. He's with us on Mondays and the Sports Guys at Night. Ben, have a good week. Thanks.
See you, McGraw.